Right, so we're rolling, mate.
And we're in.
So, Josh Lancaster, absolutely lovely to have you on the show. Nice to see you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, absolute pleasure, mate. I've been looking forward to this. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please. Introduce yourself.
In the context of strongman, so I've been competing maybe, I think since 2017, so around 8 years or so. And I've been coaching people to be stronger for 11 years now as my full-time job. So I kind of got into strongman as a secondary thing. Actually, I was actually coaching people to do comps before taking it seriously myself, if you will. I'd always just done I'd always wanted to be a strength and conditioning coach, but I didn't want to go down the typical route that some of my mates had done. I went to uni with, who were working at a football, say a pro football club or whatever, or a rugby club, because even though that it sounds good, they're not getting paid, they weren't getting paid that much, and a lot of them were putting, having to do a lot of volunteering hours and stuff. So realistically, I went into the personal training side with a view to being a strength and conditioning coach, but started off with personal training with more general pop, just as a view to actually making a business first. And then obviously I've made a business first, and then that has enabled me to gain brilliant experience coaching, but also, I suppose, now giving me the freedom to take it more seriously myself as an athlete. But yeah, I've always been a sportsman. I suppose I've come into this sport from a bit of a different angle to most people. It seems like a lot of people who seem to be from, they've been going to the gym years, and they might have done a bit of bodybuilding style training, or they might have done got into the gym to get in shape or whatever. Whereas for me, I've just always been driven by sport. So if I didn't compete, one of the reasons why I compete is because actually it gives me all these secondary benefits of being fitter and healthier and stronger, more flexible. But actually, I don't go to the gym and it's not a chore, where realistically, if I didn't have that thing of, getting better for competition, I wouldn't be a fan of going to the gym, to be honest. I wouldn't be one of those that goes to the gym to, look good in the mirror. I really don't care. I'd be playing I'd be playing another sport. I'd probably be playing golf or go back to playing tennis, or probably play football and rugby again, to be honest. But yeah, that's my history. So maybe rugby for about maybe 12 years or something, football for about 12 seasons, rugby for tennis for about 15, 20 years or something, which I've just gone back to recently, actually. But yeah, the strongman stuff, go on, ask me about the strongman stuff. I hate just saying, oh yeah, I've done this, I've done that, but if you ask me, then no.
Yeah, well,
yeah, I just fucking love playing sport, mate.
Well, I was just going to say, I was going to go back to your childhood. So obviously, tennis, you must have done that from a young age.
Yes, yeah, that was the first. I suppose the first thing I'd say, a properly trained, really, and actually didn't just play for fun. I actually played to get better at it. I remember that was the first thing that I couldn't afford to. My parents wouldn't let me join. Well, not wouldn't let me join, but I didn't have the money to join the club. So I saved up my pocket money over time to get a membership at the local club, and then I got myself a membership, and then started practicing quite a bit, and then got to the point where I could apply to be an adult at the club when I was 12, so I was eligible to play for the adult teams, which that was a brilliant thing for my development, I suppose, as in sport. Because from a young age, I was playing adult league, open level competition, if you will, which even just the thing, not just being on the court, hitting the ball, but I suppose the social development and psychological development of being part of a community that was supportive, and actually just learning the basics of, oh, well, actually, if I practice more, I get better. Yeah. Oh, I'm not very good at this thing. So what can I do? How can I bias my practice to actually develop that weak point? So I started learning at a very young age, like, well, whatever, since, really young age, that how to develop and how to actually train. And like a lot of the principles that I teach, I suppose, people to do in strongman, that it blows my mind that people think it's like revolutionary, the stuff that I say that's just so simple, and it's just basically principles of what you need to do to be successful in anything, like you going out shooting or whatever. Like you can't just go and buddy shoot things straight away. You have to get better, don't you? You have to practice. You have to, and it's a constant refinement, and so multidimensional how you can attack it to get better. So yeah.
So what about, so you say rugby and football as well? Was that
Yeah, so like tennis, I play. The thing that I suppose, like what people say to, like what people have asked me before is like Molly said when I got into strongman, actually, my partner, she was like, "Oh, you'll just give it up after a while. You'll just go on to something else." And the thing that I always say, like, I chose strongman to be something that I want to be good at. I wasn't good to start off with. I'm not saying I'm any good now, but like I was a lot better at other things when I started than I was at strongman. I wasn't like suited to get good at strongman, for instance. But it really fit me. It fit me in terms of like I can put an infinite amount of practice in. The thing is, what held me back with tennis was like I'd play like my local area. It was brilliant for like 4 months a year, and then the season would finish, and then it was like winter. When it goes into the winter, and then the good players don't practice in the winter, so you couldn't get any good hitting or any training. It would cost too much money when I was younger to be able to afford to travel somewhere to go and train. So that was the thing where I was frustrated, because I've got all this passion that I need to put into something, and it was like I suppose tennis didn't have the provisions to suit my mindset of being training every day kind of thing. And then then football and rugby were like a similar thing where rugby, actually, I didn't actually like that much, to be fair, looking back. But it was the first thing that I kind of did that was getting kind of social recognition for being good at something. It was like I didn't have to try that hard to be like in the best teams that were respected teams around my area, if you will. I went to the local grammar school and played for the first team there, which was like quite a prestigious thing, if you will. But I didn't really enjoy it. And I always loved football, but I wasn't as good at it. But then I decided that, oh, you know what? I'm going to quit playing rugby. I'm not bothered about just doing it anymore because people say that I should, because people think that I'm good. But actually, I'll just go to football, go and play for I joined local team when I was 16 and played for like the North Lancashire League, bottom league, for the reserve team. And I started and I was on the bench. But, I loved it, and I loved climbing and getting better. And, I played my first season when I was 16, centre back, played with like an old school centre back who said that he'd look after me. And he said, right, what I want you to do, I want you to basically twat everybody that comes near, anything in the air, boom, you take out. And he said, when people kick off, I'll clean them up for you, basically. So me being the way that I am, like I'm very kind of literal with stuff. So that became my style of play. I was just a big hitter. Like I'd snap people, I'd win everything in the air. And after a couple of years, I started my friend was starting another team in the local league, and I was really happy with what I was playing. I was really enjoying it, really enjoying getting better. And then I said the only way that I'd swap teams was if you guaranteed me 90 minutes every game, and you made me captain of your team. So we did that. We started in the bottom of like North Lancashire League, and I was the captain of the team when I was like, I think I was 20, and there was like most of the team were like 22 and above, and that was amazing for my development because I played like maybe 8 seasons there, and we got promoted, like just like a big journey in my life, I suppose, where I've gone from like being not so confident, but not so confident, but putting a front on to make myself look confident, so the other lads followed me and believed me. You know, oh, Josh's confident, so yeah, we're back. To actually truly building confidence and being like, you know, we grew as a team together, and you know, developed a lot of leadership qualities that helps me with coaching and helps me with backing myself in strongman now, to be honest. You know, even when you know, dealt with injuries, dealt with playing. There was a time where I was like the worst. You know, I shouldn't have been in the team on merit. You know, I'd had a few bad performances, but they put me in because I was like a good leader of the other lads. But I felt like they were, you know, they were dragging me a little bit. But then I kept going and still kept turning up, and then I turned into, you know, what I suppose one of the better players of the team. Got player of the season a few times and stuff. But the point is like, I wouldn't say I was any good at football, but it was that, I suppose it was that process of, you know, being committed to something and actually developing over time. So we started off in like the lowest tier at say 4th division or whatever, and then we'd play teams in the cup that were in the Premier League, and I was like, oh my god, that's so and so, you know, he's so good, put people on pedestals. And then 3 or 4 years when we'd climbed, I didn't feel like I was necessarily any better, but I was smashing these players, you know, I was beating these, you know, best, like some of the best local players around here or whatever. And then eventually I played 2 games for the like the local team, Lancaster City reserve team, but that they play in like I played 2 games for them, and I was crap, so they sacked me off. but it was good going from again, that was the first taste of something where I decided I wanted to do something, not because I was good at it, but because I just enjoyed it. I loved it. I was obsessed with football, and I proved to myself that actually, you know, if I can go from being like that to actually being a player that people wanted on the teams, and also a player that people hated playing against me. Like, I knew that. And like, to develop, I suppose, just to get better, I suppose, that thing of betterness. But again, the frustrating thing about rugby and football was like, rugby was like team sports, you know, say sometimes you go training and then it was pissing down, and then only 5 people would turn up, and you think, you know, or games would get called off on a Saturday because, you know, I'd just obsess about it all week, and then the game's off at the weekend, and you think, oh no, you know, I just felt like I wasn't fully in control of my destiny, if you will. Training was, you only trained like once or twice a week. So that's what I liked. The idea about strongman was, you know, like I did a little bit of powerlifting first, and that got me into like the competitive lifting side of things. And I liked the idea of, you know, you can train every day if you want. You can go to a gym at any time. You know, nobody's putting a limit on. You don't have to rely on teammates. You can do the sport indoors, so it's not weather dependent. So all these things that were. Oh, and the other major thing was with rugby, I kept on getting like neck injuries and tore my rotator cuff. I got like a few neck, like nerve issues and that. And so then so that was another thing that contributed to me to committing to football. Then football in the end was like rugby, I kept on getting upper body injuries. And then football, I kept on getting like lower body injuries, like knees, ankles. I broke 2 lads' legs, and it just made me think, you know, that happens to me for like, whereas like that's what I love about strongman is like, if I say go and drop a massive stone on my head and knock myself out, that's on me. You know, that's me. I'm in control of that. It's not like somebody coming in with a high elbow. You know, it's my. I feel like I'm in control of. You know, even so much as you go out doing comps in, you know, different conditions or whatever. But you see me compete, and you see how like analytical I am, and like I'll weigh it up, and I'll think, yeah, I'm gonna go for it, and whatever happens in that moment, you know, I'm in control of. There's very few times I can think of where an actual external influence has affected the how you do when you're performing. So so that's what I love about it, is like I'm in control of everything, you know, how much I push, how much I peel back, and yeah, that's what I love about the strongman training.
So here's a fun bit. What about some career highlights?
Career highlights. So but I really liked getting the England's under 90s, England Strongest Man 2021 under 90s. That was like my first big thing where I thought, oh yeah, I was really proud of how I did. I still look back at the lads on that I beat that day. You know, some of the really good lads who are competing now, absolutely amazing. And it was just like a day that I put, you know, put it all together. I suppose a day that I started believing in myself a bit more as an athlete, really, because I'll be honest, like that for that comp, I was training the week leading up to it. I didn't have a deload or whatever. I didn't want Molly. I didn't want my partner to come and my daughter, because I said it's a long drive, and I said I'm not going to do that well anyway. You know, so you know, if I thought I was like in contention to, you know, even hit the podium, I'd be like, oh, come on, give us a bit of sport. I just went down by myself, took my tripod, took my own videos and that, you know, and then I came away and I sat in the car looking at the trophy, and I'm like, and then I ran down everything, you know, going through everything that I did, and hit some really good stuff there. And, you know, the response that I got from that was people messaging me saying, oh, they weren't surprised, even though I was surprised. They weren't surprised. And then I just got the vibe that I was like, yeah, well, maybe I should take myself not more seriously, but like just believe in myself a little bit more in terms of placing, because I suppose one of my greatest strengths, which I encourage other athletes to do, is like I'm just so obsessed with my own game and my own PBs and my own journey that I don't like. Sometimes I can very easily detach from what other people are doing. And I suppose at the time I was like, right, well, I'm going to hit that on that. I'm going to hit that on the deadlift. I'm going to hit that on overhead. I'm going to hit that on yoke. And because I've hit this last week and this the week before, just simple progression basically, but without clocking on to how, you know, how well it would place. You know, I did the yoke and compete 30-meter yoke, and I won it by like a significant distance, you know, significant speed. And like I didn't even clock how good it was going to be in comparison to the other lads, which I suppose I'm better at now, even though that, you know, say this comp that I'm going to do, like your comp I'm really looking forward to, that I'm purely doing it for my own PBs, yeah. And I'm purely doing it because I'm in there. I'm not going to go and kid myself thinking, oh, I'm going to go or try and hit the podium or something. Like I'm not. I just don't want to, you know, I'd like to not finish last ideally, but you know, I'd like to finish that yoke, which is a heavy yoke for any standard of strongman. You know, I'd like to have a good go at finishing that farmers, which again, you know, is finishing under 160 farmers for any level of strongman is elite. And then on the deadlift, ideally, even though my deadlift felt a bit rubbish last night, you know, ideally I'd like to hit 330 if that's a possible jump. I don't know if you're going 320, 340, whatever, but if not, just hit the 320. And then the log, what is it, 150 or 130? So ideally hit at least 130 for 3, but I want to hit 130 for 4 ideally. 127 for 4 at my recent comp at OSG. And then I hit 130 for 3, I think, 2 times in competition last year. So it's just the obvious progression for me. And whether that, there's lads going to be doing much more than that, obviously. But because I'm so like obsessed with what I'm doing and my own progression, I'm not bothered where any of it places. Like wherever if I can hit mine, like I did I did the OSG 90s Worlds recently, and I finished 15th out of 35, which I'm very proud of because I hit exactly what I set out to do. I hit a PB axle deadlift. I hit a 4-rep PB on the log. I hit a decent yoke. I came 6th out of the 35 on the yoke, and then 12th out of 35 on the medley. And I hit all my targets. Whereas the previous year I went and I'd hit all my kind of all my process goals, and I failed every single one of them. So we're coming away from that, and I'm like, because I pride myself on however many comps I've done, 9 times out of 10, I will hit what I say I'm going to do. Whether it be, if you say to me on a comp day, "Oh, Josh, what do you fancy on this?" 9 times out of 10, I'll hit what I say. Whereas the previous year, I did out of my 4 goals, I hit none of them. Whereas this year, I hit all 4. And if that had me in the top 10 and got to the final, great. If it had me bottom 10, whatever, that's how I look at that, and I think that's how good I am right now in terms of the world standard at under 90. So yeah, pleased with that. And I suppose, yeah, this is what I'll get from this is what I want to get from your show, is like be in the mix with. I just want to compete at the highest standard possible against the best athletes possible. And I've done that in the under 80s. I've done that now in the under 90s. And I'd like to do that in the 105s and eventually see. And I'm doing it at the same time in the open class as well, But obviously, open class, I'm a lot lower level in terms of, But like my goal also this year is to do more opens comps and win some more kind of like city open comps or gym open comps. See how good I can get towards like regional level or whatever. Yeah.
So,
my highlights. I didn't even answer your question, did I?
That's good though. That's good because I think that's the sort of crack people want.
Yeah.
I want that.
So in terms of numbers, that 2021 England Strongest Man under 90, that was the first one where I started believing in myself, and then I wanted to. I spoke because I'm not sure it had been done before. I wanted to win untested England's the same year as winning the drug-tested Britain's. So I went for I think it was like a couple of months after, I did the BNSF Britain's Strongest Man, and I came second, so I was gutted. But because I wanted to win those in like the same year, if you will.
Yeah.
But then I ended up winning I think it was the under 80. It was like the drug-tested European Championships, the weight class. So I won that in the same year as the untested England. So yeah, that was good. And after that year, I started believing in myself a bit more. And then the following year, I think I decided to the challenge of, because I was doing under 90s, and then I was like looking at myself naked, and I was still podgy. So I thought, oh, what would happen if I could have? And I always want to challenge myself. So I just thought for the crack, like, what would happen if I got down to under 80s? So I cut down to under 80s. And then in June 2022, when I came second at England under 80s, England Strongest Man. And then on that day was when I set I became the first under 80 to do the 100 kilo single arm dumbbell. So that was I broke the previous record that was like I think it was 96.7. So I did 97 kilos first to take the record. I think I weighed in at 77.8 or 78.7 or something. It was something ridiculous. And then I wanted to do 100 if I got the first one, because at the time I thought, which may be incorrect, but at the time I thought it was the biggest pound for pound dumbbell of all time to that date, and also the first to do 100. So yeah, that was but maybe the first thing where, because obviously the England's the year before I'd won, but I hadn't really set my mind to it. It just happened, if you will.
Yeah.
Whereas this was the first thing where I put a video out on YouTube like a few months before, walking down the canal actually, saying, "Oh, this is what I fancy. This is what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and take so-and-so's record, blah, 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 blah." And then a couple of months later, I managed to do it. And I had a lot of stuff going on at that time, which realistically, looking back, if it was me now, being probably more level-headed now, probably would have pulled out, and I probably wouldn't have bothered doing it, because I'd had a car accident basically two months before that. I'd had an accident and run into a pedestrian and thought I'd really badly injured him. And then after that, I was like, I was kicking myself. I was like just going over it in my head all the time, like it was just an accident, But I was like, I kept on like blaming myself and going over it, and then I had some therapy, had some cognitive behavioral therapy that I highly recommend, by the way. So anybody listening who's struggling with hard stuff or whatever, got diagnosed with anxiety, depression, PTSD that was triggered from this kind of incident. And yeah, it took me like all of the next year, all of 2023 to like, I wouldn't say get, to feel like in a good place again. So like at that time, it was very raw, and realistically, I only went and did that comp because like I'm a man. If people have followed me a while, like I pride myself on being a man of my word, and like win, lose or draw. If I say I'm going to do something, I will go for it, and and I just thought people might think of a softy if I pull out, but basically, and I wasn't ready to like, to talk about it, I suppose. I wasn't like, I've never put anything on Instagram saying, oh, this is what happened. This is why my head's been a bit melted. But yeah, that's what so yeah, I was proud to reflect on that. I've got a good photo of me doing it, and I look back at that, and what I see is not the lift, but all the stuff going on below the surface, and that I could still get through it. And for me, looking back, it's a moment that story that I remind myself until the day I die. Really, something that really I wasn't in the right place to do it mentally, but somehow I managed to do it and get through it. It was terrible. Like I was getting, every time the washing machine was beeping and the dishwasher and stuff was finishing, like I was getting like my heart rate was jumping up, and I was getting like really triggered by stuff. Like I look back now and I like kind of laugh, and I'll take the mick out of myself a bit. But yeah, for anybody listening who never tried CBT, that was that was a thing that massively helped me, and massively helped me with other aspects of my life as well. So yeah, that was good. And then in terms of competition, and then the following year started doing, I think, last year, did the 2024 the actual British record 154. I did I think in March last year, and then somebody went and beat it and did 155. So then at the Chaos comp in July, the Chaos Classic, that was one of the jumps on max axle. It was one of the, I think it was 148, 156, 163. So I was like, right, this is my opportunity to get the record back, which is a bit of fun, but also like do it in a competition where, you know, as part of a competition. I always wanted to do it where do the record. In fact, right, I went for the under 90 dumbbell record in I think the year before, 2023, and I went to do the English record. I went for 110, and it was outside. It was so sunny. It was on grass, and it just made, and it was part of the competition with other. It took ages building up to it because there was like 16 other lads doing it, and it made me respect, because to be fair, when I did the dumbbell record in the under 80s, I did it as like a standalone thing. I did it in the middle of a comp that I was competing in, but it wasn't part of the comp. It was more of like an exhibition record, some might say. Whereas going for this dumbbell record that I failed, it taught me that people who break any records as part of a competition, within a competition, like say for instance, if anybody does this under 105 deadlift record at your comp, hats off, you know, because it's a complete different animal when you're. So that's what I wanted to do with the Chaos comp in July. I wanted to hit the axle record, but I also wanted to hit a deadlift PB. I wanted to hit a yoke PB. I wanted to hit a farmer's PB. I wanted to smash the load and drag. And it was like a heavy event. So yeah, that's my best performance to date, was that Chaos Classic in July, where we did the 156 axle to take the record back. But then I went and did 290 for 5 on the deadlift, which is a PB. And then I did the 410 kilo yoke, which came first place against, you know, you look at the lineup of that day in terms of like national champions. There was like previous OSG podium lads, like legit a lot of the best lads in the world. And like I beat them all at yoke on the day. I beat them all at farmers on the day. Did the 150 farmers 10 meter there and back. Was it like 12.8 seconds or something? But yeah, just put this performance together that I was like exceptionally proud of whilst getting that record. So yeah, that's probably my biggest achievement, and yeah, just priding myself of getting stuck into any level of comp. You know, like last May, what was it? I did like Britain's under 90s. Like within the space of like 4 weeks, I did Britain's under 90s. I'd won like a pound for pound comp where I'd weighed in at like 89.9 and done some really good lifts relative to body weight, hit like 270 for 7 that day, which is like triple body weight for 7. I was really proud of that on my worst lift. And then I think the week before that, I'd competed at the Open England's qualifier and came obviously really low down on that. But, you know, doing stuff, competing against some of the lads who are at Giants Live now, but getting stuck in, competing against them, doing some stuff that I was really proud of there, like a sandbag steeple chase with 240 kilo bags that I completed that I didn't think I was going to do. And then I suppose one of the weeks within that month was Britain's under 90s, where I didn't perform really well that day, but just to hit the, I suppose, getting stuck into different classes, not being like, oh, I identify as an under 90. I'm only competing against under 90s because I don't want to get my ass handed to me by, you know, I'll go like say your comp and I'll be getting spanked by people. And I suppose like that's part of my thing as a coach, and I suppose because people seem to listen to me a lot on social media, is like I want to demonstrate and lead by example that, you know, yeah, I can go and win these comps in this bracket, but equally I'll be the first to happily go and finish last at another comp way out of my comfort zone to rub shoulders with, you know, like, because some people get, I suppose, get a bit scared that they feel a bit like out of the depth almost, you know, should I be doing that? You know, I might no rep this, I might no rep that. Where I suppose that I want to show and teach people that there's a lot of value you can get from, you know, individual things within the competition. You know, it doesn't have to be about the placing all the time. Yeah.
So a step up in weight class. And I know you've done up on weight, but against just completely 105ers. What are you going to sort of? Are you going to intentionally bulk? Are you going to get bigger and heavier for it?
Yeah, I am a bit bigger. I wouldn't, and I really don't like. I really bugs me when people say moving up a weight class. Like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it is. I'm just like, yes, I can compete. I competed under 90 at I think 7 times last year. But when I compete in the 105s or opens, I'm just a fucking, sorry for swearing. I'm just like, you know, I'm a 105.
Yeah.
Or when I'm competing the opens, it does not matter what I weigh. I'm an open. Just treat me as an open, you know. It's an open 105s class. That's what I see it as. I don't want credit for people. Oh, he's stepping up. You know, like it annoys me when people do that. To be fair, you know, realistically, you know, walk around under 105. Like I don't walk around under 90 kilo body weight. I cut weight to it. So basically, what I'm looking forward to is just, you know, turning up on the day and just stepping on the scale and competing and not having to cut weight. I don't like to think that I'm stepping up a weight class because, like, I already compete in the opens. I'm just not very good.
Yeah. So what do you think you're going to come in at weight wise?
I don't know. I haven't weighed myself since OSG, but I don't know. Maybe like see how I feel. I feel a bit podgy and I felt all right in training. Like I'm sitting a bit heavy. I haven't weighed myself. I suspect near 100 kilos or just over. But I've done a few lifts. Like I was deadlifting yesterday and deadlifting last week. Whereas a lot of things feel good for being a bit heavier. Just feel different. My positions feel different. Deadlifting felt horrendous last week. So like I'll probably be lighter this time next week than I am this week. But I'll just be going off. I'm purposely just going off how I feel and just eat a little bit less food or eat a little bit more food, depending on how I feel, rather than being dictated by, right, when I'm competing under 90, I need to be, you know, walking around between 95 or 98, 99, depending on how much I'm committing to, you know, say if it's say like an OSG comp for Worlds, like just being real, like, because that's a 3-day comp. Like earlier in the year, I'm doing comps and I'm sitting at around, because I wanted to compete under 90 quite frequently this year. I'm sitting around like say 93 to 95 or something. And I'd done some under 90s comps the previous year, and I was cutting a little bit more weight. But then my lass said that I was being grumpy the week before, being grumpy with like the little lass and that. So I just thought, I can't be doing with that. Like if I want to compete under 90, I'm just going to have to, you know, be a little bit lighter. So that's what I did this year. And at the start of the year, I was just making weight easy peasy. Well, making weight's always easy. I've never failed, but it wasn't as much. It wasn't as like kind of all consuming, if you will. It was like a lot simpler. You know, I didn't have to watch what I was eating in the lead up weeks kind of thing. Or whereas like I thought I committed to the OSG comp later in the year, and I thought, you know, realistically, a lot of people do cut a significant amount of weight, because like even for my comp this year, and I don't know if well, say the under 90s comp this year, I think it was like about a 30-hour weigh-in before day one, before like the first event, because of where we were in the schedule. So you could weigh in, and then it was actually 30 hours before you lifted. So if you're looking like, say for instance, hypothetically, if I got to the final, that's like, what's that? So it's like it's like 2 days later. It's a long time. It's you know, what is it? 72. It's like 102 hours before the. Oh no, it'll be like a 72-hour weigh-in because the final starts. Yeah, like the final, you've weighed in 72 hours. 72 hours before. So, you know, I know I won't say I won't say who people are, but like some of my mates who compete in the 90s were, you know, like it was shocking. Like they were heavier than some of the 105s.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's mad. So I felt like if I'm not doing that to an extent, like I'm missing out a little bit, and almost so doing it to play the game a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, this year I suppose like ideally I'd like to compete in more 105 comps than 90s this year. I'm going to be more selective with the 90s comps. Maybe do the Chaos Classic, maybe do Worlds later in the year. But I actually just want to, you know, I just want to rock up and compete and actually, I think there's like maybe four 105s comps in between like February and March that hopefully I'll do all four ideally. But yeah, same style, like just training the week before, lead up, take a day or two rest before the comp or whatever. Not cutting loads of weight, you know, just going and mixing with different set of lads that are. I suppose that's the advantage that I'm taking. Thing that I'm taking advantage of is like, I suppose I've developed to a good level now that I can not rock up, but like I can do the 105s comps, and I can rub shoulders with, you know, some of the best lads in the world. Some of the guys that guy that I watched at OSG on the deadlift was crazy. So to be like in the same field as him, there's is Piscari doing it, Emmanuel?
Yeah, Emmanuel's
like, you know, I competed. I was competing in the 90s at Europe's, and he was in the 105s, I think, last year, and just like putting my bag near him and just chatting to him in between events and that, and just, you know, get like feeling the energy and, you know, watching little things that he does and how he approaches stuff and his mindset and, you know, stuff like that. It's just invaluable. You know, he's a proper winner, champion, like animal. You know, not just a lifter and strong. He's like the whole package. So, you know, I want to be a leech. I want to be, you know, going and getting stuck into mixing with people like that. You know.
Yeah, he was on the podcast the other day, Emmanuel.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, he's class, man.
And do you know what? I mean, I've been a sports fan for like my entire adult life. And I can't believe that for this competition, we've got like the best athletes in the world coming. I can't sort of stress it enough to people around here. People don't understand. You know, the common man who isn't a big strongman fan doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Like the athlete that's coming. And, you know, like you're saying, it'll be great to see, just to be around the best athletes in the world and see how they do things, won't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you've been in a lot of that company, competing the places you've been.
Yeah.
And for me, you know, like been to a couple of big fight shows and that, but as far as I've never been around the very best guys in the world at anything.
Yeah, and I noticed a bit of a common theme, to be honest. A bit of a common theme that is, and it reminded me. I don't know how to say this without sounding disrespectful, but like I did a comp recently where I did the open class, and there was other classes going on. There's novice, there's intermediates, and whatnot. And usually for so long, I've done most of my comps, it's in a pathway. It's like, you know, whether it's like the nationals or internationals or whatever, where you get in the, obviously you've got the niche fields like the weight classes or master, whatever, but you get in the, or even being at World's Strongest Man, like the Opens, you know, you get in the, like the best within that kind of line. And you notice that a lot of there's obviously some idiots, but like a lot of the best guys that are like truly elite, you know, they just don't, they have that blend what I focus on is like taking yourself taking the sport so seriously, but without taking themselves too seriously. That's a key thing that I notice. And you go to like, say, I noticed that when I did this comp with like novice and inters classes, there's like people that are just, what's the word that they said? Like prima donnas almost, like they're you know, like kicking up a fuss about stuff that's not a problem, you know, taking themselves really, really like too seriously and being disrespectful, like not having manners, you know, like disrespecting the kit and the gym that they're in, just dumping shit, and you know, like just an attitude. It's just an attitude thing that you notice that. So I do actually be careful with. That's what I like about the chaos comps. To be fair, I get a lot of people that I coach who are doing like say beginners levels, novice or whatever. Like I know they go to a chaos comp, and I know they'll be, you know, it'll be consistent. It'll be spot on, well run, whatever. Whereas, and yeah, and like, and basically they won't put up with people being that's it. They won't tolerate people like messing around or being mean to other people, or you know.
You don't want like
No.
what I've strongman is it's a lovely sport. Everyone I've been around's been really friendly and really nice, and it once kept that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But that's what I noticed, that you at the lower levels, at entry level, that's where you seem to get more. Because by the way, I'm speaking from experience here, and I'm not like of someone who has been probably competed in. I don't know anybody who's competed in more strongman comps than me in the last 5 years, and that has been has coached at every level of strongman in the last 5 years. I don't like, in terms of, I'm not saying it's anything to be shouting about, but I'm saying I've been in all these different situations, and I've seen that, you know, that's where you seem to have the problem, and the kind of the idiots is like the lower tier entry like disrespectful people. You know, you go and speak to like say Pescari, for instance, he won't be rude to any of he won't be rude to any of your loaders, or he won't be you know, taking plates off a bar and throwing it, you know, stuff like that in the gym. You know, he won't think he's any better than any of the other athletes. He won't be better. He won't think he's better than the athlete that finishes last.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just like a respect, like
it is like, from what I've seen, I mean, as a rule, I think sport's nicer than any other sport I've been in. The people are more enjoyable. Like, I've never really had any fallouts in it. I've never come across anyone being particularly unpleasant in strongman. I've obviously got a lot less experience than you, been to a lot less shows than you. But you do generally see, I think, in sport, when you come across higher level guys, they do generally know the score, don't they? And they are better behaved around it all.
100%, because like one of the things to get higher levels, but to stay in the higher levels, there's one common denominator, and that's time. You know, you've got everybody who competes at like say at this comp, for instance, even say whoever finishes last, like you think, yeah, hats off, respect, to get to the level that you know, zoom out and to lift the person who finished in the last place to do the stuff that they are doing is beyond elite in itself. You know,
My boy,
to even shift that yoke a meter, or to even pick up the farmers, the pickup that say that even the 140s or whatever, you know, it's people can't just walk in off the street and have a few sessions and just be able to do that, you know, especially not 160. You know, 320 deadlift opener, crazy.
oh, it's bizarre.
But there's a respect there for, you know, you think people have got the people respect that they've had to put the time in. That's what I mean. Had to put the time in, and with, you know, like say the stress that I described before about, like say, having that accident or whatever, like realistically everybody has stuff to deal with, don't they? Everybody has like trauma, everybody has emergencies to deal with, and it's just normal. And I suppose that's what the elite guys know. When stuff happens, like life stuff happens, and like, you know, it's like terrible things happen, they don't, they're like not a victim with it. They realize that that's just normal. You know, that's just normal for humans. Every single one of us has stuff to deal with. You know, I'm sure you have a story over something you've had to deal with the last couple of months, or stuff that's ongoing in the background that, you know. What?
Opening that gym.
Well, that's it. Like we could, you know, we could, but I suppose like what elite people respect is, well, yeah, and what? That's part of the course. You know, you're not you know, it's not an excuse. It's not a, you know, that I didn't turn up to training because my dog ate my buddy program or whatever. That, like, stuff like that doesn't stick, does it? You know, when you get to a level, you only hear that at the kind of at the bottom, at the lower tiers, which is fine, because, you know, some people are just doing it for the fun of, some people want, some people, like say that kind of the beginner novice route or whatever, they'll stay in that for 10 years and have a ball. They're not bothered about winning trophies or whatever. They're not bothered about not stopping going to social occasions, not going to, don't have to give up the pub. They don't have to train more than 3 times a week. They don't have to go to the gym and be in there longer than an hour, you know, and they can still milk the benefits of, so I'm not saying it's like, say, being elite level is better in that respect. In that instance, it's certainly not. But these people who've made the decision to be, you know, a lot more seriously and take those steps, get them to that level.
Just breaking up a little bit there, mate.
Good, because I don't know what
So while we're talking about time, how many hours a week would you say you're spending in the gym at the minute? Because again, this is one of the things I don't think people understand how long.
No. Well, I like make out to my Molly, who trains seriously as well. I make out to her that it's not as much as it is. I'm like, oh yeah. Well, I didn't go to the gym till later on. I had a quick session. Realistically, I've been there all day. You know, some like me on Tuesday and Friday at the minute. That's when I'm having my long sessions where me and Hicksy are training those days every week, and we've said no rush. We'll just load to rest, work things out. That's where I have my like longer sessions, where yesterday started at 1 and I finished at like 4:45, I think it was. And then Fridays usually I'll do like 11 till, sometimes it's been like 3:30. You know, sometimes maybe say maybe 8 hours over those 2 sessions, and then I'll have like another overhead session that'll be like at least 90 minutes, say 2 hours. And that'll be a quicker one, I suppose. So 10. And then basically, then I've got to get and then basically I'll just try and get to the gym. Like, so that'll do like my kind of strongman programming, like where I'm doing my strongman lifts and whatnot, that if I wasn't able to get to the gym again, that I'd all my bases covered. And then I'll try and get to the if I can get to the gym every day and train and do a bit, I will do. Yeah. And if I get to the point where I've done, like, oh, you've trained all the lifts this week, I'll go to the gym and train like, say, normal people do going to the gym. And I'll go like, go and do like a general upper body session to feel a bit better, work on a bit of flexibility and whatnot. But yeah, realistically, if I didn't have to work and like say program people and coach, I'd train, buddy. I'd train 4 hours a day. Honestly.
Yeah, oh no, I believe.
And I'd find something to do. I'd work something out. I'd be working on technique, whatever. I'm not saying that's optimal, but yeah, the hats off to people who, there's lads doing this who, like, say Craig's doing it, Scouse lad, isn't it? Craig Hughes, and like he works a full-time job and goes to the gym after work, and I think, like for me, I find that like so inspiring. Like, I think, because honestly, like, I don't think I could do it. There's no way I could compete at the level that I do consistently if I had to, say work. I'm not sure what it works, but like, say work a 9 to 5 and then go to gym after work, and then, you got a family and kid, just like amazing. My mind is blown how people do it. So you'll find that a lot of the guys at, like, say the elite weight class level, at least, like, and this might be disrespectful, but a lot of the top guys, they don't seem to have a proper job. Or they're like me. I mean, like, I don't have a job. I just, like, I'm self-employed. I do my coaching and program people or whatever, but I wouldn't class it as like I've not got a commitment where I need to go and do X amount of hours a week. And you find that, say, like, because sometimes I scratch my head and I think, blooming heck, she's amazing or he's amazing, and then I look and I realize what they do as a, like, say, as a professional, whatever, and yeah. I'm not sure about the 105s, by the way. I don't want any 105s to like say what, like, give me stick for this. But yeah, even more respect if you do have like a 9 to 5 job and like commitment. You train after work or get up early in the morning to like brilliant. I suppose what I'm saying is not to be disrespectful, but it's like, I recognize, like, I have been so driven to drive my business in a way that I can be flexible, that I can pretty much train like a full-time athlete, that I can, if I can train like for 4 hours on a Tuesday, 4 hours on a Friday during the day, and then go and have tea with my daughter, like living the dream. Yeah, of course. But like, I suppose I'm respecting how, what a massive impact. Forget what you do within your sessions, forget the intricacies of, I'm doing this fancy training block. Like, actually just being able to train without feeling like I'm fatigued from working, or or I'm up first thing in the morning, like, just to be able to do that, which, by the way, I have earned and I've hard for running my own business for a decade. But like, I'm recognizing that is probably the most important thing to, a lot of people, a lot of people are looking for magic bullets and stuff, like, oh, what program block should I do? What technique should I use for this or whatever? But if people could just work out how they can practice more with life, and when they're practicing, not carrying stress for other parts of the life, I think as simple as that, it's a recipe to get good at anything, literally anything. And yeah, and I suppose I'm saying massive respect for people who work a lot of hours and they manage to train and get to this level. You know, I find it mind blowing. Like I just find it mind blowing. Because obviously I've learned how beneficial it is for me to, you know, be able to just go to, like, doesn't matter if I go to the gym at 10 or 11 or whatever, I can just still be there all day, have my breakfast, wait for my tea to settle, go to the hydrotherapy pool at the commercial gym on the way, get my body all nice and warm, go in the sauna for 10 minutes, sit down, and then I go and train. And then there's other people like, you know, get stressed from work, having to go fight through rush hour traffic, the gym, to queue up for a platform, to get in, to get the stuff done, and then the wife might be saying, "What time you at home? You know, you want to be at home to put the kid or what?" Crazy. Like,
Yeah.
so respect to people who do that. It's amazing.
So, in your downtime from training, what do you like to do with the fam and stuff?
Think about. No, I started playing tennis again recently, so I enjoy doing that. I do enjoy going out in public and not wearing like strongman stuff and going to the park and think, you know, people are just meeting people, not thinking that I do strongman. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I think that I've always liked doing the lighter ones, because I get to the park and wear a normal. No, don't get me wrong. I am a bit more muscular now, but like say last year, I'd go to the park. Probably didn't even look like I lifted. Like, so, you know, just think about different things than I do think that's important actually. Like going and having different things that you're interested in, and there's countless things that I'd love to be good at. That, you know, it's that is an important thing to me, right? Is I think where a lot of people go wrong is they create this identity that they're a strong man and that's it. And I feel that I'm really scared for some people that if something happens where, say something hypothetically happened where we couldn't do strongman anymore, that they just have no identity. Won't be where like I suppose like it's important to me, and I'm very aware of that, you know, it's not the be all and end all. It's just a hobby. You know, it's just it is just a bit of crack. That is it. It is just a laugh. And yeah, like I said before, of course I take it more seriously in the moment and more calculated than I suppose as the next person. But I don't take myself seriously, thinking, you know, I believe that I will be a world champion. I do believe it. But like if and when that I do it, you know, awake the 2 days later, I'll just be going to the gym and just training, and I won't be thinking about it. Like it won't change. It wouldn't change my life at all, you know. Whereas, and I think being aware of that is really, really important actually, because you see a lot of people who, you see it in a lot of sports, don't you, where the athletes reach the top of the hill, the thing they've been chasing for years. You know, like Johnny Wilkinson winning the Rugby World Cup, or you have it with footballers who retire. You think, oh, they've got everything, they're loaded, you know, and they just like recognizing that I suppose the journey is the destination, isn't it? Like it is the process, and without sounding cheesy and cliche, like it actually is. You know, actually, I'm just grateful of everything that I do with my work and everything that I do with training and practice. I feel like I'm cheating life because I'm just doing what I enjoy every moment of every day, not being told what to do by anyone. You know, I'm just doing what I want. And like, it's not about winning. It's not about, you know, be cool being a world champion, because if I'm doing all this work, then I might as well be really good at it. But but really it doesn't matter. It's all these like without sounding soppy, it's like I think of all the people that I've built relationships with the last few years just because the strongman or the sport has been, you know, your kind of icebreaker. But realistically, you get to connect with people, don't you? You know, when I came up that day with my mum lifting the stones with you, and we just stood down there, and then I think obviously because we didn't know each other, but then after 10 minutes, you get each other's vibe, don't you? And you think,
yeah,
God, like he's just having a bit of, oh look, I can't remember whether you said it or one of the lads that was there was surprised that I was getting stuck in and I was like failing the lift. And then I was just like working it out and thinking, right, I'll go and do this, not getting mad. And then I went and worked it out and I nailed it. And then, you know, I was struggling with that stone to shoulder or whatever, for instance, when I came down training, and then on the comp day, like I nailed it and I worked it out. But, you know, just, yeah, I suppose, and just seeing that, you know, you can see that it's real passion, can't you?
Of course you can.
You know, when you're in that moment, and that thing beyond, like another thing as well, what you see with some lifters, which is brilliant, is like, which I do and I have and I pride myself on. Some people think that you do some of these lifts and post them up and you're like showing off a bit or whatever. And like, yeah, of course it's good if people engage with you. Like, it's good for my business, to be fair. If people like engaging with stuff and think, oh, buddy, oh, that's cool, like I'll do it. But realistically, I've done some of my best lifts and some of my favorite lifts have not been in a competition. They've not been when anybody else has been in the gym. Just doing it by myself because I thought, I fancy a crack at this. You know, I fancy a bit of this. It'll be a bit of fun. I've done that before, but can I put another kilo on it today and just go mad? I go and do it. That buzz that I get, it doesn't matter to me whether it's in front of, you know, 10,000 people or, you know, it's just by myself and I don't catch it on video. Right?
Yeah.
And I suppose that's what you can see when it's hard, isn't it, when you like know people off social media, because you do get a bit of a feel for people or a perception. But then when you see people in person, when you know that they couldn't be, you see everything, don't you? You can see, and a lot of us like people watch, don't you? You know, like me, people watching Pescaria, Europe's, just watching him and just like watching what he's doing when he thinks nobody's watching. That's what's cool. That is what's cool. I just think, yeah, I want to be like that. What he's doing. He's not running around flapping. He's not moaning about. He doesn't. He just looks chilled, man.
Yeah.
I just thought, right.
For him, to be fair.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's something that like I've developed myself, because that's what I was saying before, like about the common thing about elite level sport is like, what I noticed as well is like the top guys, when before that whistle goes, just chilled, and then the whistle goes, boom, they're on. Yeah. Whereas like when I started, you know, I look back to my first novice comps or whatever, I look back and I remember Molly used to say to me, she was like, oh, I'm not coming with you anymore. You're just a drama queen. You're just and I was like, right, Molly, hold my salt, right, do my suit, do this, do that. Getting so psyched up for warm-up sets, getting people to stand back, like, who's warming up with me? Stand back, I'm going to do this. I just thought, oh God, what, like so like embarrassing looking back, or when I see other people doing it. Because, but I thought at the time, well, that's what I need to do. Like, I need to take myself really seriously if I want to improve. Whereas actually, you know, these top guys, you know, even at World's Strongest Man, like I've been there at World's Strongest Man final in the athletes' hut, you know, and with like and they're just a lot of them are just like taking mick out of each other, literally, before the stuff that you see on telly, like Max Dumbbell or whatever. from Myrtle Beach. What was it, 2023? You know, if you saw what they're saying in the back, they're just all like a lot of them are just laughing, and then the name gets called out, and then they're boom, 100% focus. And like what I would have thought years ago, would have thought, oh, those lads should take it more seriously. Whereas actually now I recognise that they're just being so efficient.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of because obviously it's a kind of nervous system manipulation tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, we want, if we're doing a 5-event comp, that we only want to be amped for, you know, those five separate segments. So if we can, it's like a car at idle, isn't it? You know, if you've just constantly, if you're sat with your car outside with the foot on the accelerator going nowhere, it's going to tank. You're going to tank fuel quick, aren't you? Whereas if we can get those, that's a good analogy to think of. I think is like if you can learn how to manipulate how to get those revs lower when you don't need them. That's where a lot of people struggle with the like the OSG style comps, you know, multi-day with big rests, because, and I did it for the first year that I did it, was like you do an event and I'd be like amped, and then you don't know whether to, well, I stay pretty amped because I've got that in a few hours, and then it comes to the next event and you're tanked. You don't feel sore, but you're just tanked. Whereas, yeah, that's what I noticed with, like, say, a lot of the top athletes, just, you know, just chilled, not taking themselves seriously. Some they might be just, you know, watching funny videos or something in between. And you think he's about to do like a world record attempt or something, you know, or equivalent of, and they're just like look like they're messing about. But it's, you know, it's this thing of not taking yourself too seriously, and when that moment comes, that nervous system spike can be higher.
So, motivation for the coming year. What are the things that are really motivating you this year, Josh?
Motivating me this year, and I'm just really enjoying it. I'm just really enjoying everything that I'm doing. So, and each year I set myself a new challenge and stuff. So maybe this year's challenge is to, like last year's challenge was to kind of do the rehab, because I was injured at the start of the year. I was like injured for about 18 months, and then basically decide at the start of over the course of the year whether I'm going to be right. If I'm going to win, say there was like £1 million for the weight classes worlds, right? I would say that, you know, I always said that I'll just go back down to 80s and go and do that. Whereas, like, I wanted to test last year whether I thought that I was going to be good enough to, you know, potentially, if my life depended on it, be good enough to think whether I could win a world championship, like whatever class, I don't care, you know, but whether it was even feasible at under 90. Whereas from doing the under 90 comp and then beating the guys that I did at the Chaos Classic, then that's like confirmed to me, actually, well, you know, I don't even need to entertain the under 80s thing anymore, really, because actually I feel like I can be good enough for under 90s. And whether this takes, you know, 2 years, 6 years from now, whatever. But then, so I've gone and nailed my performance at Worlds, and that I'm really happy with, like I've said. But then I've worked out that, you know, if I was like a bit 5% stronger on the static stuff, like would that have me in the mix more? And I think it would. You know, if I was like 5% stronger on the deadlift and the overhead, I think my moving events are decent and stacking up well already. But I don't feel like this time next year I'm going to be necessarily ready to be that much better in that time frame, if that makes sense. So I've just thought to myself this year, I've just thought, is it like the cost of, say I did maybe whatever 7 comps under 90 last year, the cost of actually, the cutting the calories down the couple of weeks before, doing the water load the week of, cutting the training out, like in terms of you writing down the intensity of training, like over the course of the year, like how costly is it, just cutting weight to practice being at under 90. Whereas like now I've realized that, I've consistently put a good performance in under 90 and shown that I'm capable, because a lot of people who go into, like, say, cut weight to weight classes, you very often see it where people will cut to a weight class, they're hitting smashing numbers in training, but then they can't do it on the comp day, factoring in whatever. But a lot of the time people underestimate the cutting weight and doing it well. Whereas like I've put a lot of my best lifts after weighing in under 90, the day before. So I've kind of ticked that off in my head. So it's like, I just need to be good enough now to be able to actually do what so I actually feel that maybe I'm going to be, is it going to be more beneficial actually doing more practice comps in the 105s? Well, sorry, I don't want to sound that that's disrespectful saying it like that, because obviously when I go in the 105s, I want to be placing as high as I can. I'm not for like under so like valuing that. But for me, in terms of the big picture, it's like I go to Opens comps, I want to win, but realistically, I'm just doing it to be a better athlete, because to get me closer to this goal of being a world champion, So the 105s is perfect because the weights that I'm lifting are equivalent to at the different stages in the year, are the equivalent of what the top comps will be later in the year, if that makes sense. So like say me entering England's 105s that I've entered, I'm doing weights there that is like an international into 90 standard, if that makes sense. So I'm getting to practice these comps, but I'm getting to practice it without not the pressure of making weight, but the kind of the all-consuming aspect of making weight and everything that comes with it. And the recovery from it and whatnot. Like, so I just feel like I'm just going to be able to get some, like, basically get stronger in the 105s, and be a look at, say, how many times I've done a 24-hour weigh-in last year, where I've done, like, say, whatever, a 5-day water load that's obviously dominated the week. The day before, I'm like not booking not doing any work. I'm trying to do minimal with my family, because I'm like, I need to be cutting that day. I need to be going in the sauna for a bit, and I need to be focused. I don't want to be stressed. And then I'm weighing in the day before. So the whole, like, that time before is just where realistically the 105s comps, ideally I just want to be driving up on the day before the athletes meeting, ticking it off on the scales, and then getting ready to compete. So it's not taking a whole weekend out. It's just a day, but I'm getting this brilliant this brilliant competition against people who are, I suppose, equally good, or if not, or a lot of them a lot better than a lot of the best under 90s in the world. So that's my goal and my motivation. And then obviously without the, like, say, restricting calories as much as I would for and being dominated by that so much, like, actually interesting experiment, see how my other lifts go up by just sitting, maybe 4 or 5 kilos heavier or whatever. I've been really happy with how my general training with Hicksy or whatever is getting a really good ballpark of, training weights, especially when he was doing like an off season or whatever. And I suppose it seems I train pretty heavy all year round compared to what a lot of people do. A lot of people seem to back off a little bit. Whereas like I'm, if I can't lift 140 farmers or a 380 yoke every week or every day of the week, or put 140 over my head, like, every day of the week, then like I want my base level to be good and slowly build over time, if you will. So like actually, you know, just going in and doing multiple sets with like decent open weight athletes makes you realize that actually, you know, my general events baseline is really good. It's just you can see the big discrepancy between I won't say my overhead lifts because my axle's pretty good now and my dumbbell's pretty good, but like my log's significantly behind, and my deadlift's significantly behind, but which has been tough because I've been coming back from like a 18-month injury on the deadlift. But I think the pattern that I seem to think that I'm going to speculate is that log does seem to be I've noticed it when I've cut, like not cut weight but dieted and been different weights, because I've been at like 117 at my heaviest about 5 years ago, and then I've been 78 kilos at my lightest, and I've noticed that the lift that's the most variance is that it's disproportionately more difficult the leaner I get. So like even just holding an empty log in the rack position when I'm like 85 to 90 kilos, like I just feel like I don't have enough mass. That's like almost the other side of the center of the log almost. That's what it feels like. Whereas I see like some open levels guys with like massive delts and massive lats and a chest and like a bit of a tummy, and you think that just by default they're not having to do any, like the logs does sit better with that. That's a thing that I noticed, that you know, even if I put fat, even if I get like say over Christmas getting a bit fat or whatever, I go to the gym, everything feels crap, but log feels good. You know, I clean the log and I'm like, oh, this feels brilliant. It does not feel like it's crushing my neck. It feels like it's actually on something, if you will. So yeah, I'm interested to see that sitting generally a bit heavier, whether I can push my log up a little bit. Like I realistically think 140 is the most I've done, but I've hit 130 for 3 pretty comfortably, once in training, twice in competition, which I would project, like I feel like I'm good enough for 145. But realistically, I'd like to push that to 150 this year. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Yeah, so I'd like to get to that, and I'd like to be able to rep 140. I'd like to be able to rep 140 for 2. I think that's a good milestone, and I'll be interested to see if I can, if just sitting a bit bigger and a bit heavier, and I suppose fueling myself with more calories, how that contributes to the like say the deadlift, and whether I can get that to, you know, it's although at Worlds actually it's probably my best result ever actually, because it finished like mid-table, because I hit like they had like a heavy one and a light one, if you will, and I think because I managed to get one at the heavy one, I managed to tie points with lads who would smash me at a lighter weight for reps, but they weren't quite strong enough to get the second, if that makes sense. So that format worked well for me. But yeah, realistically, like I think I want to get to 340 plus at the end of this year, 340, 345, ideally, the end of 2025. Which is crazy, because if you zoom out, and even if you do like low level opens comps, like it's funny because I've done a couple of opens comps and actually placed well with my deadlift in the deadlift, and I'm just like going into it and I'm like, you know, I did an open comp about like a couple of months ago or recently, and like I think it was like 325, and it finished like 4th out of the 16, I think it was. I just couldn't believe it, because I'm like used to finishing bottom third, I suppose, and then making up my points on the other events. But you get this like warped sense of reality when you you know, competing against these amazing, what these like under 80s, under 90s, and the 105s are lifting, you know, like
it's unbelievable.
You know, yeah, it's mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. But yeah, so to just push on, that's yeah. I suppose my motivation has been a little bit different to last season in terms of I've just altered the kind of objectives, if you will.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, on that note, Josh, I will have to crack on, mate. We'll have to wrap it up there. I've really enjoyed that. It's been great crack, as always. And if you'd like to come on again sometime, maybe next few months, and we'll have a crack about how training's gone, how the comp's gone, stuff like that.
Yeah, sorted, mate. Yeah.
Like I said, maybe a little bit more in depth, a bit more in depth crack on training and nutrition and stuff, maybe.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Egg on toast for the win. That's
absolutely, mate. Right. Thanks very much, mate. I'll let you crack on. And I'll
peace out. See you later. Good to see you. Bye.
See you soon, mate. Cheers.
Bye.
Brilliant, that, mate. Hey, thank you very much. I'll like I say, I'll have to bounce. Do you know, I didn't think we were going to be on that long.